Shared Future News volunteer Raquel GOMEZ interviewed Kelly Morris, a freelance photographer who has worked with numerous communities in Northern Ireland over the past 20 years. Morris uses photography as a tool to empower people. For her, photography can bring love, compassion, inspiration, and healing to people, with participants telling their own stories through art. This episode is part of our series on Northern Peacebuilders, interviews with individuals whose work and efforts contribute to better community relations in Northern Ireland. It is also available as a published article at Shared Future News.
I'm a community photographer facilitator, and my most recent exhibition and project I worked with was through and with Community Dialogue and local comedian Tim McGarry. I've been living here for 22 years, but I'm still a blow-in. I love to see diversity here, and I love to see it growing more and more. A blow-in is a common term used here and for someone who's not from here, but there's 3 different types of blow-ins. So you could be from West Belfast and you move to North Belfast to, wherever, and you're a blow-in. I wanted to celebrate blow-ins, and I chose 15 blow-ins from around the world. I took their portraits and I wanted to hear their stories, and through community dialogue and talk, and then it to be a celebration of diversity here in the north of Ireland. For years I worked with men who have been affected by suicide. That was my first real big group, and there's a lovely man named Gary Symington who got in touch with me and asked me if I would give it a go, and he told me that there was no money involved. As a photographer, I've had opportunities working in high fashion, the commercial photography, and to film and television, and to kind of find out where I'm at as a photographer, as an artist. And I was asked to facilitate this men cross community group. I said, why not? It was one of my most successful projects. I think organically all my projects have really just worked out, thankfully, and I've learned so much from every one of them. I worked with older people living in rural communities through community dialogue and rural community network. Again, with all the projects that I've worked on, I've learned so much. I don't come in with an agenda. I come in with a passion, and then it's like I learn from the participants and the participants learn from me, and it's a really cool full circle. I've also worked with teens living in the New Lodge in Mount Vernon. I don't know how well it was accepted, but the brief was that the children were the young adults, young ones, be able to go in each other's neighborhoods and walk around in each other's neighborhoods and photograph each other's neighborhoods. And they both photographed not only their own neighborhoods together, but also they went over, so the ones from the New Lodge went over to Mount Vernon, and both the Mount Vernon kids or young adults and the New Lodge young adults, they photographed the area, and then vice versa. So they photographed Che Guevara, they photographed UVF, they photographed everything that they felt was theirs. And it was discouraged a bit whether, should we all say kumbaya and just have this mural be like, I would really detract against that, because this is what, you can brush anything under a carpet and not talk about it, but if you call the elephant in the room, ride the elephant, then it's not really that big of a deal. And it wasn't really, it's an understanding with both, and that's what was real. I did a lovely project with the STAR group, youth group in the New Lodge. It's a fantastic youth organisation that really promote breaking down barriers, because there's a lot of kids that I work with that maybe who don't live in quite isolated areas that would not care or not know anything about it, but these young ones living on the peace line were quite terrified to have. I didn't think it was going to be like this, where I want the walls to come down, personally. But these young ones, you imagine being caged in your whole life, and this has been like this protective wall or whatever this mirage it's supposed to be. So the fact that and then around the 11th, or when different times of the year, 11th of July, when the faucets are turning on for more sectarianism, and bottles are thrown at, I went up to this little girl's room, and like she showed me her bedroom, and she had a gate on her bedroom wall, and then she had like a tiny back garden, and then a peace wall. So if you're raised like with that, it's like those, even though like for the future, I do hope that the walls completely come down. And years ago, like with the police stations being coming down, and I photographed there was a ceilidh on an old police site it was beautiful. But there's actually these walls have caused fear, so much fear and so much separation. I have no idea why they're called peace. And I worked with a group. There was a baby day here in the north of Ireland, and it was all the shore starts. So a friend of mine, she came up with this really clever idea about doing a photography project. And normally my photography projects, I empower people to use photography as a tool. Like the older people in the rural, they taught me like moss on the road. They photographed like moss. Older people, if they slip and fall, they break a hip. You and I would walk by it and not even think of it. So photography is it's like, even like, I'm not the most articulate person, but like if a photograph just like boom tells you it, but with the baby day, there was in the most deprived corners of Belfast, the four corners of Belfast, shore start the end through baby day, and an amazing artist called Samantha Pochilio, and she asked me to do this project. And so basically it was about pregnant women in these deprived areas. But like, listen, I'm a mum, and women are women. You either hate being pregnant or you love being pregnant, and there's like nothing in between. And it's always about the baby, it's like not about the mum. So I said, let's get us around and talk. And all the projects I've done, talking, listening is such a vital point in it all, and then being able to express yourself through the art of photography. So I ended up, I said, let's make it about the women, and I shot these women pregnant. And these women sat around, told stories, and we cried and we laughed, and the exhibition was in the Ulster Museum accidentally, and it was just amazing, and a lot of healing. I think when people take time to just stop and listen to each other, and to have an opportunity to tell their own story, because everyone has a story, and a lot of healing happens, and you can let things go very organically that way.
And Kelly, what impact have your work in the community?
Well, thinking about it, I hope the impact was full of fun, love, compassion, healing, inspiration, empowerment, because it gave me that as well. And there's so many people doing such great work, and I'm very flattered that I would even be asked that I had an impact on anyone, but it had an impact on me as well.
And from your perspective, how art and photography help people?
Photography, art, it's a way of expressing, it's healing, it's a way of, if you don't feel very articulate, or there's feelings that you can get down through paint or through photography. I don't consider myself a very articulate person. Maybe that's why I love photography, because I speak through my photographs, and so to see people be able to have a voice and an empowerment through that, and I have seen it, and I know it works, and it is so important.
What has generally gotten better since the Good Friday Agreement?
The war is over. I think fear here has diminished. I think that there are more visitors here, which is obviously helping the economy. I think there's more diversity here, because when I first got here, I was known as American Kelly because there wasn't, and people, and maybe I am crazy, but like people were like, "What the hell are you doing here at this time?" You know. I think there's more. See the youth clubs and the work that the cross community and youth clubs are really great. So I think those are good things that have happened through the Good Friday Agreement.
What challenges remain?
Challenges. So I think the exclusion and the pockets. I think the walls. I think mental health. Mental health is so huge here. I think I believe it's in the DNA and passed on, but it's. So if you have, people say, oh, but if you have a parent or even a grandparent that went through the war here and what they endured, that is passed on, right? And that's passed on, I believe, in DNA. I believe it's passed on through trauma. And mental health needs to be really funded here. Challenges would be how much the DUP. I think the DUP really holds the North of Ireland back big time. I think people are starting to I think the DUP is actually helping with the peace process, because I think it's uniting more people than they think. Another challenge is it's not about green and orange. There's so much diversity in here. Where's the voice for people who are living here who aren't from here? Where's their voice? And one of the sayings is, "Oh, what would you know? You're not from here. You're below-in." But I live here. I'm giving my heart and soul here. I have a son here. Where is my voice? Why does it have to be just green, or why does it have to be just orange? And another challenge is, like, within the Good Friday Agreement, being that the North of Ireland was recognised as part of the UK. Part of the agreement is that if the majority rules, for it to be a united Ireland, which is a challenge, because a lot of people are afraid of that. But I believe it's the only way forward. I think I find I'm going to go against a lot of what people believe, but this is from my heart. It's very misogynistic here. There's a lot of great men, don't get me wrong, and I think one figure within the Good Friday Agreement, Bill Clinton got this whole hurrah for him, but one person that I think that was I don't want to say ignored, but not celebrated the way, and there should be a huge monument or statue in this woman's honor, because she was genuine, she was straight to the point, she was amazing, she was full of compassion, she was understanding, she was able to lead the men, and that was Mo Molan. She definitely should be recognised within the Good Friday Agreement.
How would you like to see the general public get involved in community relations work?
I think I have this idea. Okay, so for once a month, approximately, I would volunteer with the homeless. It's 2 hours. These amazing women, they organize it every week, right? 2 hours, once a month. So I have this idea where it's like, okay, everything can be really heavy, especially if you have your TV on and you're listening to the news or but if you 2 hours once a week give up your time, you will benefit from this, trust me. But give up your time. Let's say maybe you have a neighbor that that doesn't have any visitors. Maybe their hedges are overgrown. Maybe they just, even smiling walking past someone, But 2 hours, I believe that, like, if you challenge your own thoughts and you're open and you allow yourself to be open, but 2 hours once a month, maybe you have a passion in autism, maybe you have a passion in the elderly, maybe you have a passion or like maybe your grandmother it's someone that you loved, or something linked to you that means something to you. Cancer, autism, Alzheimer's, like we could go on and on, homeless, blah, 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 blah. If you gave 2 hours 2 hours, that's like a television show and a half or whatever, including commercials, if you want to have your head zapped away from that. And that's it. And you give that up once a month. I would love to see people do that for a year. And I think that's how you start to get involved in community relations. And that's how you get involved, because cancer doesn't know Catholic, Protestant, doesn't know poverty, doesn't know if you're affluent, doesn't know if you're what race you are or anything like that, or sexual orientation. Cancer's cancer. Homelessness, the same. Drug addiction, loneliness. And I think that if you like pick something and you don't have to tell anyone that you're doing it, by the way. You're not trying to be a do-gooder, but just 2 hours once a month. I have this like feeling that I think that to me it's just like, it's like I commit myself, my intentions for 2 hours a month, and I don't have to tell anyone. Like I shouldn't even have told you that I did that thing with the homeless, but these women do it every single week. But it's like I commit to them, so if they need me more or less, it's okay. And if I do more, so I'm not letting myself down. So if you like kind of overdo, like if you go, every weekend I'm going to go out and do this, or every Tuesday I'm going to do this. You know, we all have so much in our own lives. You know, we have our children's, maybe if we have children, we have their sporting stuff and their schoolwork and our work and our housework and, you know, our friends and things like that. But only if you just do a minimum of 2 hours. So if every single person did just 2 hours, I think it would make a huge impact. And I think then that is the start of community relations, because when you're going into it, you could be a bigoted person, you could be a prejudiced person, and you meet someone because maybe your sister, uncles, your wife, your brother, your daughter, they died of cancer, and you're doing 2 hours a month doing something for cancer, and you meet someone that is completely different than you, but you have something that is in common, which I think this all comes down to is that we all have in common is that we're human beings, and that's it. You know, you're Spanish, I'm from America. What doesn't matter? We're human beings, and that's so. I think baby steps into it. You don't have to like try to save the world, and I also do believe that, you know, it starts with yourself.
What is your vision for Northern Ireland?
My vision for Northern Ireland, and you know, I could have a positive vision, and I could have a negative vision, and I'm trying to have a positive vision because I'm raising a son here in the north of Ireland. Yeah. So, being a creative, my vision is that the shops and restaurants are open later, that the place is buzzing, the arts is so funded, because I think, you know, one thing that people don't realize, even though they might think that they don't get art, is that cities that have robust art, you know, where art is vibrant, there's an energy that comes from that, and it's good. I would like the walls to come down, and but I also think that don't put band-aids over things, let people talk. I think there should be more groups like community dialogue that they're holding where they're letting people talk, because people can argue and people can disagree with each other, but if you sit down and it's like having a fight with your sister or your brother, and it's like you guys can completely disagree with each other, but if you really talk it out and you really listen to one another and you are open to like different perspectives on things, you're also have compassion. Compassion is so important. So my vision for here is that there's a lot of integration. There's loads of more people that come over. I can tell why this place was taken over by the planters is because in the north of Ireland it's so tiny, and like, so you could travel all of Ireland, and all of Ireland is so stunning. It's an amazing place, isn't it? See the north of Ireland, it's so condensed with like everything you'll get if you're traveling for hours. Do you know what I mean? So you have, like, there's the Antrim Coast, there's Fermanagh Lakes, there's County Down, there's the Mourne Mountains. You know, there's so much beauty here, and there's so much to celebrate here, you know.
What would physically represent peace for you?
Human act of kindness, random human act of kindness, peace, laughter, seeing people have fun, art. Yeah, I think that would sum it up for me.
What human act would represent peace for you?
So laughter. For example, the Festival of Fools here is like my favorite time here. There's such laughter that they bring to the streets, what that creates, the atmosphere, especially if you get a good one, is phenomenal. And it's almost like the energy that produces is electric, and it is intoxicating, and it is infectious. But it's also, it starts with ourselves, and there's little things, like little acts of human kindness, just like I said about the 2 hours, and you don't need to tell anyone. You know, why would you need to tell anyone? Because you're going to benefit from it too. But it's random acts of human kindness and compassion.
A wish for the future?
I wish for the future that anyone that has been hurt from the past finds healing. I hope, like, there's so much loss and so much pain that happened here, and like I'm not, you know, like I don't want to ever belittle or patronize that, and that was for everybody. But for the future, all I can think of is, when you say future, I think of my son, and my son was born here. He lives here. Cormac, and my son, and his friends, and I just hope that they love how much beauty is around them. There's really good humor here, and that there's more opportunity here, and that there's no us and them, but us. Yeah, that there's a lot of opportunity to make themselves grow and make here grow as well.